Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a collection of really vital information, all focused on officer survival and safety.
That's right.
We've got articles just brimming with insights on, well, everything from how to defend yourself in a confrontation to, being constantly aware of potential threats.
Exactly. Think of this as your direct line to understanding the crucial elements that help keep officers safe. Our goal is to extract the most impactful knowledge, maybe go beyond the obvious,
Right.
to really grasp the complex risks faced in law enforcement and the most effective strategies for navigating them.
Okay.
For you listening, this offers a really concentrated look at the realities of staying safe in, well, a high-stakes profession.
Okay, so let's get right to it then. One of the first things our sources really drilled down on is this list. 5 things that can get you killed or sued.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah. And the first one is reacting too slowly. In today's environment, there's this real awareness of potential repercussions after any use of force incident that can lead to hesitation. But as we'll see, that pause can be incredibly dangerous.
And what's critical to understand here is the inherent conflict,
Yeah.
between that very real concern about legal or admin consequences
Yeah.
and the split-second need for decisive action when you're facing a threat. The 1989 Supreme Court case, Graham v. Connor, established the objectively reasonable force standard.
Right. Reasonable force.
It acknowledges that officers often make these life-or-death decisions under, well, immense pressure, often with limited info. Hesitation in those moments, it can shift the advantage straight to the assailant.
Devastating consequences.
Exactly. For you listening, it just highlights the razor-thin margins officers operate within.
Absolutely. And it's not just about physical force, is it? Dr. George Thompson, in his work on verbal judo, famously said, when words fail, act.
A classic line.
Our sources really emphasize this point. They highlight that tragic statistic of officers who were killed with their weapons still holstered. They were trying to verbally de-escalate a situation that had already, moved beyond words, and that hesitation cost them everything.
That statistic is just chilling, isn't it? It underscores a vital insight.
Yeah.
You have to recognize when de-escalation efforts aren't working anymore,
Yeah.
when a situation has escalated to a point needing an immediate physical response, that's paramount. It's about having the judgment to know when more talking is futile.
Right.
And that decisive action is objectively reasonable and, frankly, necessary for survival. This isn't about being trigger happy.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing imminent danger and acting decisively to neutralize that threat.
Okay. The second potentially deadly mistake. Driving too fast. It might seem self-evident, but speeding is a major contributor to traffic fatalities. And sadly, that includes law enforcement officers.
It really does.
What our source raises is a really interesting question. Why do some officers choose not to wear seatbelts?
Yeah, this delves into a fascinating area. Risk assessment, deeply ingrained habits, maybe.
Good.
The justifications often given, needing to bail out of the car fast or being able to shoot more effectively while driving.
Right, I've heard those.
Statistically, they're just very unlikely scenarios, especially at high speed. I mean, think about the physics. Trying to shoot accurately from a violently shaking car at 80 mile per hour.
Near impossible.
Practically impossible. And the odds of surviving a high-speed crash without a seatbelt? Dramatically lower.
Yeah.
The fact that, 45 officer deaths in 2011 were due to collisions, that really brings home the gravity of this simple safety measure.
It really does.
For you listening, it's a reminder that even in these high-stress jobs, basic safety protocols are often the most critical.
Absolutely. Okay, number 3 on the list. Being too proud to call for backup.
Pride.
Yeah. It's sometimes seen as weakness, right? But our sources strongly argue it's actually tactical awareness. Common sense, even.
Yeah, and here's where we can connect this to broader tactical principles. Think about SWAT teams. They almost always operate as a coordinated group, right? Their core philosophy, often summed up as surprise, speed, and overwhelming force, overcome a myriad of tactical problems.
That's a powerful mantra.
It highlights the power of a unified response. Calling for backup isn't admitting you can't handle it.
No.
It's a strategic decision. Ensure everyone's safety by bringing the right resources. It shifts the odds in your favor. Why send one person into danger when you can send a team?
That SWOT analogy really clarifies it.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is something that might seem less directly related to immediate danger. Writing too little in reports.
The paperwork.
Right. When officers are swamped, detailed reports can feel like a burden. But our sources emphasize the long-term consequences can be huge. Admin headaches, serious legal liabilities.
And what's truly insightful here is in understanding how this seemingly bureaucratic task, report writing, directly impacts an officer's safety and legal standing later on.
How so?
Well, a report lacking detail leaves too much open to interpretation. It can be exploited by defense attorneys.
Ah, okay.
Comprehensive reporting, especially after any use of force, is absolutely crucial. You need to clearly articulate the legal basis for your actions.
Got it.
Describe the suspect's active resistance with specific examples, a bladed stance, clenched fists, verbal threats, and explain precisely how that resistance created a real threat.
To you or others.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Learning from well-written reports by experienced colleagues, that's an invaluable way to develop this skill.
Good tip.
For you listening, it's a reminder that attention to detail, even in seemingly mundane tasks, can have significant real-world consequences.
Absolutely. And finally, the fifth thing that can be deadly or lead to legal trouble, pursuing everything that runs.
The chase instinct.
Yeah. Our sources strongly caution against unnecessary foot and vehicle pursuits. They highlight the increased risk of ambushes, the danger to the public.
This point really underscores the importance of constantly weighing risk versus benefit in a pursuit. Just because someone flees doesn't automatically justify a high-speed chase through, populated areas. Pursuits, especially in cars, inherently carry significant dangers.
Not just for the officer.
Not just for the officers, but for innocent bystanders too. The ability to make that tough call, to terminate a pursuit when the risks outweigh the gain, that shows tactical maturity.
And a commitment to public safety.
Absolutely. It's not weakness. It's a responsible, often life-saving choice.
Okay, let's shift focus now. Let's talk about a fundamental aspect of officer safety. Safe searching.
Crucial skill.
Our sources consistently emphasize that the standing basic search is critical, but unfortunately, it often doesn't get the training and attention it deserves.
It's absolutely right. While discussions about officer safety often center on firearms, it's crucial to remember those FBI stats from 2009.
What did they show?
The vast majority of assaults on officers involve personal weapons, hands, fists, feet.
Wow.
It starkly illustrates the very real danger present during close proximity interactions, like pat-downs.
So even routine interactions.
Can pose significant risks. Absolutely.
So the primary goals of a safe search are threefold, right? Safe, effective, and expedient.
Safe, effective, expedient. Correct.
And the standing basic search technique hinges on three key elements: body positioning, limiting mobility, and controlling the hands.
Okay, let's break those down. Body positioning. It's about understanding a basic aspect of human behavior. Aggression usually moves forward.
Makes sense.
So by positioning yourself slightly behind the person being searched, not directly in front.
You reduce that immediate risk.
Exactly. And adopting a bladed stance, kind of like a boxer, angled slightly, gun-leg back,
Right.
gives you a more stable base.
Create space too.
Creates crucial space, enhances your ability to move, react defensively if needed.
And okay, then limiting mobility.
Right. The core idea. Instruct the suspect to widen their stance.
Seems simple.
It is, but it makes it significantly harder for them to make sudden moves, lunging, turning to attack. Think biomechanics. From a wide stance, your legs have to move towards the center line first.
That slight delay.
That fraction of a second gives you precious time to recognize a threat and react.
Okay, and the third element, controlling the hand.
This is paramount. Our sources stress unequivocally. The suspect's hands are the primary concern during any search.
They can strike, grab.
Choke, and critically, access concealed weapons. So maintaining control of both hands is vital.
What about common practices, like hands on the wall?
Sources critique those. Hands on a stationary object actually gives the suspect more stability if they decide to push off or attack.
Okay. And hands behind the back.
In the small of the back. Allows easy waistband access, a common spot for weapons.
Right.
Plus, it obscures your view of that critical area and gives less control if you need to move them backward.
So what's the preferred method?
The command. Hands on your head.
Why is that better?
It significantly reduces the risk from the waistband area, doesn't block your view of high-risk zones, and crucially, gives better overall control. It disrupts their balance if they try moving backward.
Okay. How's it done properly?
Instruct them to interlock their fingers behind their head. Officer moves directly behind, grips their hands from the top, lacing their own fingers, anchoring the grip firmly at the base of the skull with downward pressure.
Got it. And the search itself?
Methodical. One half of the body at a time, using the free hand. Use small shuffling steps to stay behind them as you move. Search down to about the cargo pocket area on the legs.
Why stop there?
Items lower down are generally seen as less readily accessible than those higher up.
This leads us right into the vital skill of knowing how to watch the hands effectively. We always hear watch the hands, but
But specific training on how to do that effectively is often lacking in academies. Our sources point this out as a critical gap.
it seems fundamental.
It is. While firearms are often the focus in fatality discussions, remember, suspects use their hands in all kinds of deadly assaults, unarmed, improvised weapons.
So what should officers look for?
Roy Harris, a noted martial arts expert, offers key insight. 2 primary hand movements strongly suggest weapon access.
Okay, what are they?
First, any movement where the thumb and index finger move towards the center of their body like they're gripping something.
Okay.
Second, when the elbow moves away from their torso. That creates space to draw something from a waistband or pocket.
Ah, subtle cues. Understanding these helps anticipate threats, right?
Precisely. So instead of just show me your ID, a better approach is asking, where do you keep your identification?
And what form of ID?
Yeah, it forces them to indicate where their hands will go, letting you focus your attention there.
Think about getting a wallet from a back pocket.
Exactly. The hand motions are remarkably similar to drawing a handgun from the same spot.
So what's a safer technique?
Instruct the subject to turn sideways to you and use only their thumb and forefinger to slowly remove the wallet. Much clearer view, much lower risk of a surprise draw.
And in court, it's not enough to just say, I couldn't see his hands.
No. You need to articulate why that was a concern. Explain the significance of those thumb, index finger, elbow movements as potential weapon indicators. Make it clear for a jury.
How can training help here?
Scenario-based training is crucial. Expose officers to those telltale motions, make them verbalize what they see and what they're doing.
And body cams or audio recorders.
Incredibly valuable. Documenting observations in real time. I see you're making a fist in your right pocket. Dr. Bill Lewinsky's Force Science research shows veteran officers focus on the suspect's dominant hand, the gun hand.
Leading to better reactions.
Significantly faster, more effective reactions.
Yeah.
Bottom line, learning to effectively watch the hands directly increases survival chances, measurably.
Okay, let's pivot now. Let's talk about surviving foot patrol. Often underappreciated challenges there, right?
Absolutely. Foot patrols are invaluable for community policing, building rapport, visible deterrence, but you lose the protective cover and quick mobility of a patrol car. So proper preparation and a different tactical mindset are essential.
Even down to clothes and shoes.
Especially clothes and shoes. Think about the mileage. Athletic shoes or specialized walking shoes are far better than traditional tactical boots for covering ground.
Agencies need to recognize that.
Yeah, maybe budget higher footwear allowances. Clothing should be lightweight, comfortable shorts, polos in warm weather allowing movement but still professional.
And tools on the belt.
Critical. Pepper spray, ECD, baton, duty weapon, and regular realistic defensive tactics training is vital to use them effectively.
Communication too, I assume.
Essential. Reliable portable radio, backup batteries, cell phone, all crucial.
What about patrol strategy? I heard about directionless direction.
That's a really insightful tactic. Consciously vary your routes daily. Start at different spots. Focus on problem areas, but don't establish a predictable routine.
Keep them guessing.
Exactly. And periodically reversing your direction can add surprise, disrupt surveillance.
What other precautions?
Constantly be aware of potential cover. Use slicing the pie at corners, widen your stance, expose yourself gradually for a better view while minimizing your target profile.
Keep your head up.
Keep your head up, scan far ahead. And periodically just stop and listen. Hear anything unusual.
Gathering intel must be big on foot patrol too.
Vital. Actively observe businesses, homes. Notice people or behaviors that seem out of place. Build relationships with community members for info.
But carefully.
Very carefully. Don't endanger informants. And use intel judiciously.
What about using high ground?
Great tactic. Periodically observe your beat from elevated spots, rooftops, upper floors if possible. Improves situational awareness, helps route planning, spots suspicious activity, identifies hiding spots.
And physical conditioning.
Paramount. Pace yourself casual but steady walk. Take breaks. Recognize the health benefits. Maybe use a pedometer to track mileage. It's demanding work.
It certainly sounds like it. Okay, let's address a terrifying reality.
Yeah.
Stopping gun grabs.
Yeah, a constant threat.
In any interaction, the officer's firearm is a potential target. The consequences, if a suspect gets it, Catastrophic.
Tragically, FBI stats show a significant percentage of officers killed with a firearm or killed with their own duty weapon.
Horrible. Cases like Officer Bonominio, Deputy Brownlee.
Stark reminders. And our sources offer a critical perspective. Traditional weapon retention training often starts too late,
After the grab.
after the suspect already has hands on the gun. The fundamental principle should be proactive prevention. Don't let anyone get close enough in the first place.
Talk about reaction time, the 3-second rule.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
About 1.5 seconds to recognize a deadly threat, another 1.5 to draw and fire. A determined suspect can do a lot of damage in that window.
And accuracy suffers under pressure.
Hugely. That FBI study is showing only around 40% hit percentage in deadly encounters. Now imagine trying that while fighting to keep your gun with your other hand.
One hand tied up, essentially.
Significant tactical disadvantage.
So defense in depth is the concept.
Crucial. Multiple layers. Space and angles first, then using your legs and arms proactively, and finally keeping the firearm secure in the holster.
Space and angles.
Maintain minimum 5 feet distance if possible. Gives reaction time, space to deploy weapons. Angle your body slightly to the suspect's blind spot during contact. Better view. Fraction of a second more reaction time.
Defending with legs.
Using your front foot for a firm push to the pelvic region, lower stomach, hips, groin, quads, knees. A downward push, not a kick, to maintain your balance.
And arms.
Forcefully push the suspect away. Hands under the chin, drive their head back, disrupts balance, creates separation. Combine it with moving offline.
Okay, but what if they do grab the gun? The classic retention technique.
Right. If they grab, dominant hand clamps down hard on top of the holster. Simultaneously bend your knees, lower your center of gravity.
Bring it down.
Comes over the top, reinforcing the grip. Then the key. Violently move your hips away from the suspect. Break their grip, create separation.
What's a common mistake here?
Lifting the non-dominant elbow up and away. That can expose other tools on your belt. Keep both elbows tucked close to your body.
The goal is always distance.
Always. Create tactical distance rapidly. Allows you to reassess and respond.
Now, what if a suspect attacks during a search? You mentioned dynamic takedown techniques.
Right. These are for when a suspect actively resists or attacks during that close contact, like a pat-down. They build on those standing basic search principles we discussed.
Body position, limited mobility, hands controlled.
Exactly. And always remember, objectively reasonable force standard applies when taking someone down.
So what are the techniques?
2 main ones, highlighted, both based on breaking their vertical balance backward. First is the rear pull-down.
How does that work?
From behind, controlling their interlocked hands at the base of the skull, you step decisively out of the hole, the space right behind them, and simultaneously pull their hands backward and downward.
Gravity helps.
Significantly. They lose balance, go down, creates immediate disengagement. You can optionally add downward pressure on their elbow with your free hand for more force.
Okay. And the second one?
Real pull down with arm compression. Starts the same way. But as they start going down, your free arm wraps around and compresses one of their arms midway between wrist and elbow.
Locking it down.
Your controlling hand shifts to support your wrist, locking their arm. Then drive your hips towards the hole as you go down. You maintain that arm compression on the ground, potentially transitioning to a shoulder lock prone control.
More control on the ground.
Exactly. Higher degree of restraint.
Okay. Shifting gears slightly, but still crucial. Choke escapes. With MMA being so popular.
Yeah, officers are more likely now to face opponents trained in chokeholds. It's a real possibility.
And the stakes are way higher than in an MMA net.
Absolutely. In MMA, you tap out. For an officer choked unconscious, catastrophic consequences.
Yeah.
Loss of control, vulnerable to more attacks, your weapon could be taken.
So choke attacks are critical incidents.
Treat them as life-threatening, always. And while there are techniques, those fundamental skills, awareness, balance, control, timing, distance, they're irreplaceable. Ground fighting for officers is inherently dangerous.
No mats, no refs.
Armed opponents, maybe, multiple attackers. The goal is always escape. Get to a dominant, stable, mobile position as fast as possible.
Okay, first choke. The rear naked choke. Carotid restraint.
Right. Restricts blood flow, not breathing directly. Faster unconsciousness. 4 key escape principles. Protect the neck.
How?
Immediately pull down on their choking wrist forearm with both hands. Tuck your chin tight.
Okay. Second principle.
Set up the escape. Plant feet firmly. Push backward. Try to get your head even with, or ideally past, their head.
Third.
Move to the non-choke side. Shoulder on that side goes towards the ground. Crucially, avoid rolling onto your stomach that's vulnerable.
And fourth.
Escape to advantage. Hip escape bridge. Hips up, scoot away. Get a leg outside their legs, then immediately maneuver to a superior position.
Got it. What about the guillotine choke? Pressure on the windpipe?
Also critical,
Yeah.
a true choke. Again, 4 principles. Protect the neck throat. Pull down on their wrist forearm. Turn your head sharply toward your body on the choke side. Reach over their shoulder with your free arm.
Okay. Set up.
Set up. Walk your feet close to them. Get hips high off the ground. Drive down hard on their inner thigh on the choke side. Helps break their leg lock, maybe.
Move.
Move EE to the non-choke side. Scramble or fall that way. Clear their legs with yours.
Escape.
Keep moving your feet away. Create space. Aim for side control. Drive your chin to your shoulder on the non-choke side. Then explode out, sprawl, rotate around their head, break the choke, gain dominance.
What about using a firearm during a choke? Complex decision.
Incredibly situational. Depends on the stage of the attack. These escapes are for when the choke is already set. General advice. Mitigate and escape the choke first before trying to draw. Doing both at once is extremely hard, might lose the weapon.
Makes sense.
Ultimately, understanding these threats, practicing escapes is paramount. Even watching MMA fights critically can improve awareness and enhance training.
Okay, let's talk about last-ditch impact weapon training, when primary tools fail.
Yeah, the harsh reality. Equipment malfunctions happen. Handgun jams, ECD fails, OC runs out. You need contingency plans for those worst-case life-threatening moments.
So using equipment not designed as impact weapons.
Exactly. Handgun strikes, for instance. Only in deadly force encounters when the gun malfunctions. Huge risks involved. Unintentional discharge, losing the gun, severe injury, especially to the head.
So it's a delaying action.
A desperate one. Create a brief window to clear the malfunction or get to a backup. Train with inert replicas, blue guns standing, on the ground.
What kind of strikes?
Punching with the barrel, straight punches, turning the fist. Striking with the bottom of the handle. Forward snapping strikes, using the barrel like a mini baton. Always emphasize secure grip, keeping the muzzle pointed safely away.
What about ECD strikes?
ECDs are non-deadly tools, but if one fails during a deadly force encounter, it can be used as an impact weapon. Similar striking methods to a handgun.
Caution about head strikes.
Critical caution.
Yeah.
Avoid head strikes with an ECD unless deadly force is clearly justified. High potential for serious injury.
OC canisters.
Viable if the stray is ineffective or the can is empty during an assault. Grip it tight in your fist, punch normally, or let the bottom edge protrude slightly for focused impact. Practice with training canisters.
And flashlights. Often discouraged, right?
Generally, yeah. High risk of severe injury, especially head strikes. Many agency policies prohibit them as impact weapons, but in a situation with truly no other option, maybe a nighttime traffic stop, sudden assault, flashlight is all you have if policy allows, training should focus on minimizing injury. Pressure points, large muscle groups, unless severe force is justified, of course.
Okay, now let's delve into searching those really hazardous confined spaces into the hearts of darkness. Attics, basements, closets, crawl spaces.
These places present extreme, often unseen risks. Attics, for example. Suspect has the high ground, 360 view maybe. Officers are often backlit on ladders, precarious.
That Milwaukee incident, burned by liquid.
Horrifying example. Confined spaces mean falls through ceiling structural hazards. Deputy Luke Gayton's experience.
What happened there?
Cramped attic, poor footing, confusing sounds, finds a concealed armed suspect, taser fails, deputy falls to the ceiling, partner reacts. Just highlights multiple dangers at once.
Lessons learned.
Use tactical mirrors before entry, and whenever possible, use specialized tactical units for these high-risk searches. Like that Jonesboro incident officer fired on immediately entering an attic.
Basements seem just as bad, maybe worse.
Often appeal to desperate suspects with no escape route. Think Beslan terrorists, serial killers like Edward Nathaniel Bell, cop killers.
Why are they so dangerous tactics?
Don Allis from NTOA warns about open back stairs common in basements. Creates a fatal funnel for approaching officers. That Kentucky officer killed in a basement ambush. A tragic example.
So recon and tactics are key.
Absolutely crucial. Identify all potential entry exits. Any portals giving the suspect a view out. Shared access in apartments. Look for visual red flags, disturbed death cobwebs, tampered doors, openings, disturbed crawl space access.
And call for tactical units if possible?
For armed or contained suspects, yes. It's often the safest call. A critical mistake is just failing to look up and notice these spaces exist. Rick Rohrbaugh's training exercise with dropped casings illustrates that perfectly.
What about tech before entry?
Strongly consider it. Thermal imagers, sound detection, robots, pole cameras, mechanical sniffers. Use everything available.
And verbal commands?
Always. Clear, repeated commands. Come on out. Use canines, or even the illusion of one NYPD did that. Maybe deploy OC pepper spray carefully. Ed Santos even suggests loud music sometimes to disrupt them.
Illumination is key, but tricky.
Ed Santos calls it a great equalizer, but warns about hard shadows from lights, especially strobes, actually concealing suspects. He recommends high-density directed light, plus shields, smoke, chem lights for marking. His training shows the odds are really stacked against officers entering attics unprepared.
Doorways are fatal funnels. How about closets?
Common mistake. Officer stands right in front. Bad position. Recommendation: stand to the side, open the door while another officer observes. Diversions like flashbangs at secondary entrances can help.
Don Ollis's 3 T's.
Time, tactics, and troops. Why rush entry if the suspect is contained and there's no immediate life threat? Maybe even bring the ceiling down as a tactic.
He poses 2 key questions.
Can I win? And is it worth it? Jane Stolnicker adds the danger of lack of discipline, letting adrenaline or emotion override tactics. An embarrassed officer trying too hard can make dangerous mistakes.
Okay, let's shift to something less kinetic but equally vital. The power of the pen. Report writing.
Hugely important for long-term survival, legally speaking. Civil rights lawsuits against cities are costly, often settled even if the officer did nothing wrong.
And that impacts morale, public trust.
Profoundly. And a well-written, detailed report is often the primary defense against these suits. Some officers feel, reluctant to detail forceful actions. That's a huge mistake.
Vague terms aren't enough.
Physically subdued the subject. Totally insufficient. Reports need clear, detailed, chronological accounts, especially for use of force. Document verbal commands, suspect actions, and resistance be specific, bladed stance, clenched fists, and the officer's proportional responses.
Like?
Deployed one short burst OC spray, gave verbal command to get down. Suspect continued resisting, attempting to strike, so I delivered 2 controlled baton strikes to his left thigh. That level of detail.
Failing to record details looks bad.
Creates the perception you're hiding something. Devastating in court. Trying to recall events months, years later for a jury unfamiliar with policing. Extremely difficult. Jurors rely on media portrayals, often skewed.
Make a word picture.
Yeah, exactly. Report writing skills are just as critical as physical skills for long-term safety and career survival.
Evidence collection, too, beyond criminal prosecution.
Critically important for civil defense. Preserve damaged uniforms, equipment. Juries respond strongly to visual aids, a ripped shirt, broken gear. Tangible proof of the struggle.
Of course, this assumes the officer acted properly.
Absolutely. No report defends malicious or criminal assaults. Professionalism is paramount. Body cams, where available, are invaluable for corroborating accounts and improving report accuracy.
So fight back with good reports. Documentation.
Witness statements, evidence preservation. An officer's reputation for integrity and honest reporting. That can significantly deter weak or frivolous lawsuits. Remember Brady v. Maryland disclosure requirements for dishonesty issues?
Serious consequences for dishonest reporting.
Career ending. That example of an officer losing his job over a hasty, inaccurate report. Stark reminder. Report writing is an officer's safety skill, as vital as weapon proficiency.
So practice, learn.
So you got good examples, maybe take English refreshers, adopt good report writing manuals, protect yourself with a pen.
Okay, finally, let's discuss something often overlooked. Off-duty tactics for street and home safety.
Critical area. Officers sometimes don't see themselves as potential victims off-duty.
But the stats say otherwise.
Sadly, yes. FBI stats show off-duty officers killed during robberies attempts are the #1 cause in that context, and homes being targeted for guns or revenge. Officer Moses Walker Jr. in Philly is a tragic example.
So hardening the target.
Crucial concept. For officers and their families, take simple steps to be less appealing to criminals who often seek easy opportunities.
Home security basics.
Lock doors and windows consistently, even in the country. Have firearms securely stored but accessible for home defense.
Off-duty, Harry.
Highly recommended. LEOSA allows qualified officers, current and retired, to carry concealed nationwide, with limits. Practice with your off-duty gun is essential. Robbery drills, drawing holstering from concealment.
Home defense prep.
Periodically, clear the house, maybe with a training gun, in low light. Know your layout, potential threats, simple things. Close blinds, especially after dark.
Other security measures.
Get a dog. Even a small yappy one is a good early warning system. Have police mags sent to a P.O. box or the station, not home. Avoid advertising you're a cop. Don't wear uniforms or PBA shirts off-duty unnecessarily.
What about routines?
Vary routes to from work. Be aware of surroundings. Check rear-view mirror for tails. Take extra turns. Watch for suspicious vehicles or people in your neighborhood. Maintain that 360-degree awareness, minimum 21 feet on foot.
Communication off-duty.
If policy allows, take your radio home, know the frequencies, have PD numbers on speed dial.
The bottom line.
Be alert, be prepared, have a plan, avoid becoming a victim, and be ready to fight back effectively if you have to. Protect yourself and your family.
So to wrap this all up then, officer survival isn't passive. It's an active, ongoing effort.
Absolutely. It demands a proactive mindset, constant tactical awareness, proficiency across a whole range of skills, communication, physical defense, you name it, and that discipline for meticulous documentation.
And this deep dive, we really hope, has given you, our listener, a valuable shortcut, maybe, to understanding these critical elements of officer safety, offering insights into the tough realities and the best practices in law enforcement.
And finally, let's leave you with this thought to mull over. In a profession where threats are, well, ever-present and constantly adapting, how can individuals and agencies best cultivate a culture of continuous learning, critical self-assessment, and proactive adaptation? How do we ensure the enduring safety and well-being of those who serve?